this is all going to be recorded anyway, and we wanted to tell you this, that the sessions and all these sessions in the Advisinar series, which is inside our what we call our advisor journey, are going to be available on YouTube, because we want people to be able to have access to the languages, so they're going to be subtitled. Okay, so but obviously we'd love to have you all here so you can participate and you can make your questions within the time. Let's hope we have time for everything. So thank you very much. I think it's 5 past. We should be starting. So I'll introduce ourselves and the speakers a little bit, and then I'll go to introduce our project, and finally we'll go to each of the interventions. So Marta Fernandez and I, Patricia Mora, we are the coordinators, the coordinating team of EU4Advice, which is a project which is working with creating a network throughout Europe for advisors that are working with short for supply chain. It's a very specific and niche theme, but we are really managing to get quite a lot of interested people in our network. And we work very tightly with COREnet, which is our sister project, working with very similar aims. And we every third Monday from each week or each month, sorry, we are organizing an Advisinar with different themes, and we share. One month it's EU4Advice, and the next month it's COREnet that's organizing, but we do it together. And we really recommend that if you're interested in these themes, please register in our network of advisors so you get all the information. Okay, I'll introduce a little bit the project first, and then I'll go and introduce the speakers, if you don't mind. Can you have a full screen, Marta? Because now it's
Not full.
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay. Sorry. I think it's the two screens. Yeah.
Marta, somebody's asking for the link for further registration, if it's possible, on the chat.
Okay.
Thank you
Do you
so
see
much.
full screen now? Do you see
Yes,
full
I do.
screen?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about digital tools applied to short for supply chains, opportunities and considerations we should be taken into account, what is available, and we've found very interesting examples of all kinds that you'll see in the next minutes. Next, please, Marta. I just wanted to make a very official disclaimer, because we're really looking forward to you sharing all this as much as you can. This is the purpose of the Advisinars, but we do have to explain that this webinar is being published in YouTube by us in an official channel, and it cannot be used in a commercial or in any kind of profit-making way. Next. This is our networks, so you can please register. We'll be looking forward to that, because if you register, it's not only our numbers going up, which we love, but it's also that you can have access to all the information that we're providing. It's not only the Advisinar series, which is quite interesting, or at least it looks like people are getting more and more interested, because the numbers are always increasing in assisted attendance and registered people, but also the amount of training material, documents, and all kinds of surveys and interesting things that are moved in these networks. So we have one network which is dedicated specifically to advisors in short for supply chain, which is run by both projects, COREnet and EU4Advice. And then we also have a dedicated network for policymakers, which we understand as anybody who can influence the way the short for supply chain is understood in Europe, and that we have specific materials for that profile. And then any other profile is very welcome to come into our mailing list, and for that you would have to contact us at the mail you see in this slide. Okay, next please. Okay, these are our experts today, and this is the order of intervention. First, we're going to hear Jorge Molero, who's a partner of EU4Advice, a very important partner because he's leading the Spanish Living Lab in our project. And he works for Fundación Entre Tantos, which is an organization focused on agroecology, sustainable food systems, and participatory rural development. And he's previously worked as a food producer and currently works as an advisor for producers and promoters of agroecology in short food supply chain initiatives, supporting the development of local and sustainable food system. So he's very much experienced in everything he's talking about, and we're very lucky to have him here today. And he's going to be introducing the theme and talking about the key aspects to consider before going into digitalization of a short food supply chain or using digital tools. Next, we'll have Alejandro Wonenburger, who's leading the research and development and strategic planning and operations at Plant on Demand, which is an all-in-one enterprise resource planning, customer relationship management, and e-commerce platform for the agri-food sector, specialized in short food supply chain, and the platform digitizes and automates processes for local producers, food hubs, and cooperatives, helping small-scale producers improve their competitiveness and facilitate direct sales. They're very much implanted in Spain, but we understand it's a very replicable and interesting model to know about. And next, we will have Evonne Boland. She's a co-founder of the Open Food Network in Ireland, a platform which is supporting local and ethical food supply chains through digital marketplaces and community food hubs. She has worked on strengthening local food systems, including managing local food hubs and developing community-based food initiatives. Her work focuses on reconnecting producers and consumers and building resilient regional food economies. So she's going to be introducing the very interesting Open Food Network experience, and which is in a lot of countries already available, and it can be very interesting for some of the people who are attending today. Finally, we'll have Thomas Snellman, who's a Finnish organic farmer and the creator of the REKO model, which is very well known, and he's been spreading around the world for a long time. But it is a very interesting and innovative system for direct food sales between producers and consumers. First launched in Finland in 2013, the REKO uses social media-based local buying groups to connect consumers directly with farmers, helping to strengthen the local food economies and short food supply chains. So all these experts are going to be here to explain a little bit about their theme, but then they're going to be available for you to ask questions, and we will really encourage you to do so. Next, I think we just go to Jorge, please.
Yeah.
Give Jorge the floor. No, we can't hear you, Jorge.
Not hearing you.
Okay, now.
Yes, now yes.
Okay. So I start. Can you see my presentation? Are you able to see it? Okay.
Yes.
So I will make a brief introduction about successful digitalization in short food supply chain. First of all, I have to say that my name is Jorge Molero. I work, as Patricia said, in Entre Tantos Foundation in Spain. I've been an organic farmer myself. I've been working with food cooperatives and short food supply chains for years. I'm an advisor. I'm working in research projects, and I'm a partner in a EU4Advice project. My job today is not to present a tool, is to give you a framework. It's a very, I don't know how to say, a very, interesting framework that I've been working with Alejandro to think about all the tools that you're going to hear about next. So the first thing is about, before thinking about tools, we need to understand what we're trying to digitalize. So then we got production, and then we got consumption. So this is how a short food supply chain actually works. As I said, on the left, production, on the right, consumption. And then all the processes that farmers had to do before picking or preparing all the food that goes to consumption. So in the middle are all the operational processes that connect them. It can be receiving, storage, picking, loading, and then delivery. So, and then you got these operational processes and physical flows and all the processes, all operational process management, the quality, the storage, order management, loading, and etc. And that, but what makes this interesting is not the physical flow, it's the four flows that run simultaneously in both directions. It's the products that go from the farmer to the consumption, and then you got the money, and then you got the information, and then you got the orders. The orders organize the production. It's not the other way you run short food supply chain, because the order goes to order management and then go to the production and all the way around. And the money, it goes to the business management. If it's individual, it's always stay in the same operation, but it's in a cooperative, then it's the area that is called business management and administration. Then goes the money that go to the farmer, okay? But then we go this relation with consumption management relation is marketing, deliveries, and collection, which is very important. It's from the storage upwards. And then we go all the production management and relation is from the storage downwards. And this is very interesting because this is an all linear system, it's an all linear chain, it's a system, and that changes everything about how and when we should digitize it. And it's another very important flow, which is information goes from the production to the consumption and the consumption to the production that can be digitized. This is very important because with digital tools, many things that we have done by hand, we can do with software. So the first thing that I want to say is and then we got the strategy, the governance of the model of the project, and the internal organization. So first, the digitization come last. So when should we digitize? The answer is at the end of this sequence, not at the beginning. First, you need to have a clear strategic and governance if you work with other people. Who decides what, how the organization works internally, and then you got the business management and administration. Then well-designed operational processes that works good, that they are really cover all the areas of the process. And then is the operational processes, and then only then digital tools, because digital tools can help a lot. And the tools sit at the center of the diagram, but they only work if everything around is stable. If it's not stable, it can do a mess. Because most digitalization failures happen not because of the tools. They happen because people skip off the outer layers and go straight to the center. They don't think about the strategy. They don't think about business management. They don't think about operational products. Okay, so before digitize, we have to think about this. So maybe we can say that there are 3 ideas for successful digitization. With that in mind, I want to share you 3 things that we've learned working with people, working by myself, an organic farmer, working with software, that from research and from practice about what makes digitization work in short food supply. First, the sector context matter. Most of the short food supply operators are micro enterprises, and the tools designed for large companies, they don't work. And they also sometimes they have problems with technology competencies. So the sector is very specific. We're a tiny part of the whole food system, and we are usually very small. The second one is that trust cannot be replaced by any tool. It can help, but cannot be replaced. Producer-consumer relationship are the core value of short food supply chains, and digitalization can support it, but never make a substitution of it. And the third one is the process first and then tool second. technology amplifies what already exists, even if it's good or if it's bad. And I want to spend a moment on each of the last two in the next slides. So, sure food supply chains are built on proximity, direct relations, local identity. That's what makes them different from a supermarket. And digitalization can support all of this, but a researcher called Rogion identified three structural tensions, three paradoxes that appear when sure food supply operations digitized. They are the virtual information paradox, the automated authenticity paradox, and the alienating convenience. And I will explain it very clear. Okay. About virtual information. A photo of the tomato doesn't taste like a tomato. The screen cannot replace the sensory experience or the conversation at the market, or talking or making the orders directly to the farmer. The second one is the automatic authenticity. A reputation algorithm is not the same as knowing the producer. Trust is built through relationship, not through star ratings, like happens in other sectors. The third one, it's called alienating convenience. The smoother the digital transaction, the less present the story behind the product. Why? Because it's easier to make, to purchase. So then everything is in a software and you don't have contact with people. So the question is not whether to digitize, it's how to do it without eroding what makes sure food supply chains valuable in the first place, is to make us different from the supermarket or other processes for the long chains. So with this, the third base that I explained is methodology. And three researchers working with technology said it much better than I can. Hammer said, automating a mess produces an automated mess. So if it's a mess, if you digitize a mess, you will have an automated mess. Toyama, another person that worked a lot in technology, said that technology amplified what already exists, good process or chaos. And then we have some question to think before digitizing. John Folsom showed that investing in technology without changing the organization produces no improvement. It's not many times, as I said before, it's not about technology. It's how if the people is prepared to work with this technology. So with this, we can make some questions. I mean, three, you can make yourself a little more, but the question is why? Does it solve a real problem or is it a symptom? Sometimes when we try to digitize something, it's because we have a symptom that something is not working properly and we don't go to the real problem. And we don't have to think about the real problem if the processes are well designed. The second one, if the process are stabilized before digitizing them. We're changing a lot of things. Does it stable that are they working or not? And the third one, as I said, is can the team realistically adopt it? Is the team prepared for use this technology or not? Is this transition possible or not? Because digital tools are used by people. Okay, so these three questions, 3 minutes on honest reflection before choosing any tool. If the answer is yes, the tool will work. If the answers are not, fix the process first. Think about the process, what you're doing first, digitizing. So this, we come back to the first presentations, to the first slide. So where does digitization actually help in the system we saw at the beginning? In the operational flow, we can help order management software, we can make route planning software, a storage management software, and quality software, and so on. And the picking software, there are software very specialized for picking and for picking much more faster. And then this helps with a lot. And we have enterprise resource planning that Alejandro will talk about this because POD is an enterprise resource planning. That at the managed level, I'm sorry, I've changed myself. And the managed level, we can use this ERP. And the consumer relationship, we can use consumer relation management software and social media as REKO uses, or marketplaces. But working with the production, we can use planning and cost analysis tools, for example, support decision tool. None of them are magic. They work when the processes are stable, when the team can use them, and when they can solve a real problem. None when we install them hoping they'll fix something we haven't understood yet. And I'm very thank you for your listening, and thank you. I hope this framework helps you listen to the next presentation that I think they are very interesting, and then we'll look with another eye. And thank you very much for the time.
Thank you, Jorge. This framework which Jorge developed is really part of the spirit and the mission that we have in our project, which is trying to train advisors or help provide interesting tools for advisors to be prepared to advise in short food supply chains. So short food supply chains are successful and not so struggling in the market. So thank you so much, Jorge. Next, we have Alejandro, who's going to be presenting the plant on demand, I think, experience.
Yep. Can I go ahead?
When you're ready.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, good morning and thank you for having us here. So we are based in Spain and we are a small software team, and we met Jorge and part of his team some time ago. So all the ideas that he's been talking about today, we have been trying to materialize into a software platform that helps the small scale producers that operate in the short food supply chain. So our work has been mostly so if you have been paying attention to the first part of the presentation, our work has been mostly to digitalize all the processes that he was talking about. So trying to make the life easier for the producers while keeping this human connection alive. So yeah, we've been engaging in more or less 8 years software development project. We are now a team of 10 people, and we provide service to almost 300 farmers, and indirectly through food hubs to around 500 to 600 small scale producers. And we have been engaging in this project from the very beginning, collaborating with the different actors of the short food supply chain. So on the one hand, we had people like Jorge, which are people that have experience producing food and are also now technicians supporting the short food supply chain. We've also been working together with different kinds of producers. So the process of developing this software that we're going to be showing you in a minute, it's been through a participatory and co-design process where we have got people involved from all the different sectors. So we had food co-ops, dairy producers, cheese producers, honey producers, vegetables producers, fruits producers. All of them have different use cases. All of them have different needs. The underlying need is similar in all of them, but the operations are completely different depending on the kind of production. And yeah, I'm just going to jump really quick and see if I can share my screen to just show you the app. Can you see my screen? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So this is the platform. So just basically, this is a demo account. So what you're seeing here is demo data, but it will serve the purpose of today. So basically what we have is a really simple, or we've tried to build a really simple interface that is made out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 modules. Business analytics to just get an idea of how your business is going in terms of all the income. This is in Spanish, but I will be translating a little bit. All the income, the purchases, and the expenses, so that you can know which money is coming in and what money is coming out. We've got a products module. In the products module, it's where all the products that we produce live. And This is where we start deviating from traditional ERP or order management software. There is a lot of specifics around how the formats are built, how the formats are sold, how the stock is kept, how the stock is managed. We also have an end-to-end traceability module where you can keep track of all the lotes, like all the product that's been produced, where did you take it from, or what did you make it of, and then where did it go? And this also serves the purpose for auditing for both organic producers that have to comply with the certifications, and for non-organic producers that are required to keep traceability for different policies regarding the food supply chain. So in the products module, this is where all our products live, where we have all our sales formats or our purchases formats in case that we produce our own things, but also purchase things from some fellow producers so that we can also sell that product. We got a recipes module where we can set up recipes for different products. Like, for example, cheese is made out of milk and other products. Honey is made out of honey and other products. Then out of our products module, we give structure to our products through what we call the catalogs. And catalogs, as you can see here, you can have many different catalogs. One of the things that's really particular about the short food supply chain is that you tend to have multiple sales channels. So you don't sell everything to just one kind of client, you sell things to different kinds of clients. So you may sell things to end consumer, through consumption groups, small retails, HoReCa sector. So this makes order management in the short food supply chain quite complex. So the difference between the short food supply chain and other value chains is that it has a big amount of variables, and it has a higher degree of complexity when it comes to management. So, for example, I can have, let's say, end consumer, I can have restaurants, and I can have local markets. And all of these customer segments have completely different sales conditions. So we try to materialize that into the software development so that it was easy for the producers to set this up. So you can have different payment methods, you can have different delivery conditions, and you can also have different prices in different formats, but manage everything from a single platform. And so basically, one of the things that we tried to do is to streamline order management. So we built some kind of like an e-commerce engine on top of the ERP, which looks like this, where the end consumer can place the order directly to the producer. And there's an automated email management system that runs underneath, where you can just keep track of all the orders that they made. So I can just make my order. I can choose my delivery conditions, which are based on where I am logging in myself from. In this case, for example, I can just choose this, and I can choose my date of delivery. And all of these, of course, can be very personalized to the point that you can just tailor set up the software to every different producer profile. And we do this guided onboarding with them to help them set up the platform and make the best of it. Because, like as Jorge said, it's not so much about the tool itself, but how the tool is used. And we put a lot of work and dedicate a lot of time into not only providing with the technology, but supporting the implementation of the technology in a way that it really impacts the business or the project itself. So yeah, I can just make my order as a consumer. This is just a normal 21st century e-commerce experience. The difference is that I can set this up in less than 3 hours, maybe. So the cost for producers to have a tool like this is affordable, which is another of the main objectives that we had. We wanted this technology to be scalable, affordable, and inclusive, so that anyone without development or big technological skills could manage a platform like this. So yeah, I can just make my order. And then once I place my order, this just gets logged into the next module, which is the orders management. The orders management is just a way to centralize all the orders. So one of the main problems that we were trying to solve is that people, like producers, they receive orders through many different channels, through email, through the phone, through WhatsApp. Sometimes they have an online store, but this is not connected to their main order management system. So we tried to solve this problem by centralizing all the order management in one place. So yeah, this is basically the order I just placed, where I can get all the information directly from the consumer. And by setting up these kind of like business rules for myself, then the end consumer is already, or the customer is already making the order within the parameters that I set, so that I can just forget a little bit about order management. I don't need to be replying logistical questions all the time. I can be mostly producing on the fields, and just whenever I get the orders, I can just get them ready and prepare for the logistics part. There's a lot of tools around the order management, like planning of like a route planning for the deliveries, picking or order preparation, all the orders. There's quite a lot of stuff around here that in 10-12 minutes is not possible to show. I'm just going to go really quick through everything so you can get an overview idea of what lives in this platform. We got a really powerful tool, which is the aggregated, which basically just shows you everything that was ordered through all the different orders that you had. We've got quite a powerful filtering system that just allows for you to play around with the data in different ways, so that you can just get everything ready for whatever way you work. We also developed a really interesting subscription model order management system, which allows for you to create a subscription service to your customer. This is really interesting also for CSA models, or for fruits production, where you can just set up like a subscription. I'm subscribed to eggs. We got an egg producer, and I just place an order where I get a few dozen eggs sent home every month. And yeah, I just place one order and it charges automatically in my bank account every month. And it's really easy for the producer to manage as well. So then we got a purchase module where I can just manage all my purchases in case that I purchase, for example, so maybe I am a vegetable producer, but I buy honey from a colleague. I buy wine from another colleague, so that I can complement my production and sell other products. And this is also really interesting for food hubs, which we also provide service to. Then I got a little bit of let's see if the menu allows me to get in here. Yeah. Then we got the contacts module. There's a little bit like a CRM, where I can manage all my clients, all my provider. I can group them up. I can send email campaigns. I can send personalized emails to my customers already from the platform. The email campaigns are really interesting because I can also monitor email campaign behavior. So for example, this is a small campaign that I have. It's a test account, but I can see how many emails I sent, how many people received it, how many people opened it, if I have any mistakes because I took emails wrong, how many have been clicked, open, how many have been clicked, and how many have been set to spam. And yeah, and lastly, we have our invoicing module, which is just the last part of the cake, let's say, the cherry on top, which is basically what connects the producers' operations to the system. When I mean the system, I mean the taxing world or the business world. We know most of the producers are farming professionals, but they are not necessarily business professionals. Of course, there's a little bit of everything, and people have different backgrounds, but in general, one of the biggest struggles we see in small-scale production is a difficulty to manage the business part, not the production part, but the business part. So yeah, this part helps with all the invoicing, the taxing, and getting all the paperwork straight, so that they can just operate the business naturally. There are different payment methods. We have a payment gateway with a credit card. We have different payment systems like SEPA, Bizum, so that it's easy to accept payments to different payment methods. Yep, and we have just a settings module where you can just set up quite a lot of personalization around your payment methods, around how your invoices and your way bills look like. You can personalize what information you're showing there. Same with the products. You can set up your own traceability setup, how you want the decimals to work. You can have all your email notification settings, like how you want emails to be sent. There's quite a lot of stuff here. And within what we were sharing before, like that kind of online store that I told you, like this can be created within, I mean, we as technicians are like, if the onboarding team, we do that in probably less than an hour. But someone that has never seen the software can do that in under 2 to 3 hours. It's just basically setting up really basic information, as you can see in the screen. Just putting some pictures, a logo, and setting up some colors. And you can really quickly create a nice and professional shopping experience for your consumers that aim at replacing that kind of Excel file that is always sent with a weekly offer. And this is a little bit, I don't know if I'm in good time. I don't know how much I consumed, but this is a little bit just to not get into the details. Of course, we could be talking about this for 2 hours if we wanted to get deep into all the things that can be done, because these 8 years of development work, and it's quite thorough. But I think the main, let's say, ideas that I would like you to take from this presentation or from this software product is that, like Jorge said, that it's really important that the digital transformation is really well thought out for these kind of businesses. And it's also really important that there is a co-design process. I don't know how many of you guys use a dishwasher at home, but one of the things that I realized while using the dishwasher is that the design of the dishwasher was probably made by engineers that didn't use the dishwasher at home. So from the beginning, we really wanted to avoid this problem. So we wanted the people, when they took the product with the software, to feel like it had been developed by people like them. And this is the kind of reaction that we get.
Thank you so much, Alejandro. It's been very interesting, and there's been a lot of reactions to your presentation. So thank you so much. We'll try to go through all the questions that have been coming up in the chat. We really encourage you to make these questions. We see how many we can answer within the time of the Advisinar. And whatever's not been able to cover, we don't have time to cover in this time, we'll be answering through the emails. And you're obviously going to have the contacts of these speakers, so you can make them directly to them. So hopefully this will be very fruitful. Thank you so much, Alejandro, and thank you for a great job on all these years dedicated to the short food supply chain in Spain. Let's hope we can also manage to get other countries and other places having this kind of tools available. Okay, well, now we are going to give the floor to Evonne. So please, Evonne, can you explain? She's going to be talking about the Open Food Network in Ireland experience.
Thanks, Patricia. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I'm Evonne Boland, and I'm here today to tell the story of the Open Food Network from an Irish perspective, but I'll try to touch on the international story as well, because the Open Food Network is present in many countries, so it may well be in your own country, and you can make contacts locally. But yeah, so Open Food Network at its core is an e-commerce platform that has been designed and developed by local food producers initially in Australia. So the movement, and I guess it's probably fairer to call it a movement, started in Australia in about 2012. And it was a number of people coming together there, including some IT professionals who were also farmers, to try and resolve some of the problems that they were facing locally in getting their produce to their local communities and local buyers. So the platform itself was developed there, and it has grown and expanded over the last 15 years, I guess. And now we see it in about 15 to 20 countries, and used by about 2,500 community food enterprises across those instances. So the way that the platform and the organization works is that it is an international, a global organization, but it is locally led. So there are many individual instances of this platform across the world, including in Ireland, and they're all using the same software, which is open source and developed centrally by a core team of developers with new releases every week. But the manner in which the software is offered in each country depends on how that local leadership team have decided to deliver it. So here in Ireland, just to give you the Irish perspective, in 2020, obviously, when everybody was going digital and everything was going digital, we came together as a group, a number of people who were involved in food co-ops, CSAs and other food-related enterprises, and we deployed the software, the platform here in Ireland, in late 2020, in fact, and then we formed our cooperative to hold that in early 2021. And at the time, we were trying to respond to a need for things to continue within the COVID restrictions, and there was a lot of energy and interest in digital responses at that time. So it seemed like a good use of our time back in those days. So as I mentioned, the platform, the software itself, it's similar to what Alejandro showed in terms of the shop front, but it is really focusing on order management, shop fronts, collecting orders from customers, and it is for small food producers to set up their own individual shop fronts, or more importantly, and especially I think in our context here in Ireland, collaborating, coming together in co-ops, in food hubs, in producer groups, in community markets, but aggregating, coming together and offering one shop front or one shopping experience to consumers. And that's part of where we're focusing our energies here in Ireland. If you want to just move on there, Marta, please. So, I mean, the strengths of Open Food Network, some of them are particular to Open Food Network itself. Some of them are more particular to digitalization of markets, which I'll talk about in a minute. But as I mentioned, the Open Food Network is designed for and by small-scale food producers. So what happens is, from that very original product, what happens now is that in every country where the Open Food Network operates, there is a feedback kind of loop from the users. So the users feedback to the instance managers in terms of their needs around the platform. That gets fed back to the central development group, and then they manage the delivery of the functionality where possible. Sometimes we need to ask users to find funding to support certain types of functionality development. They can do that, and then the software is developed, deployed across the whole platform, and everybody benefits. So it's a kind of a nice collaborative model of development and functionality progression. The fact that it's low cost and flexible and there's a low barrier to entry is really important to us. So costs are kept as low as possible. Each individual instance manages the cost of using the platform, but they are set up on a not-for-profit basis, typically cooperatives, collaboratively owned, and using other revenue streams to try and keep that cost of use as low as possible. The ownership and the governance and the values of the platform are really important to us as well. We really believe in the need to have ownership as communities and as producers have ownership over these tools. And we have a number of values that are core to our operation that, you know, it certainly attracted me and attract other people to this. It's, you know, some of them are the global commons, the importance of having commonly owned and you know, shared tools. Not only the digital commons, but obviously the land and the air and water and soil. Ecosystems obviously are hugely important. Transparency, empowerment. So we're not trying to centrally control how people use the platform. We're trying to employ the value of subsidiarity as well, which allows people to use the platform whichever way they feel they need in their local context. And, you know, relationships and system change, they're also very important to us. But I'd invite you to read a little bit more about that on the website. Subsidiarity and autonomy I mentioned. So while the platform is the same platform in every country, it's used very differently, and it's actually quite inspiring for us as a reasonably new instance here in Ireland to see how the platform is being used in other countries. And you know, that is what has caused us to focus mostly on the food hub concept, which is something that doesn't really exist for us here in Ireland. So it's our experience through OFN that has introduced the potential of food hubs to us here. It's great to be part of that international movement and community. It's great to be able to bring the examples that we're seeing on you know, on the platform in other jurisdictions. As near as the UK, we see a lot of innovative use that we can introduce here in Ireland, and further afield. Certainly there's lots of great examples in the States and Canada, Australia, and across Europe as well. And the fact that we're sharing resources, we're sharing a platform, but we're also sharing other expertise across the network. So we have a bank of resources that were developed in other jurisdictions, especially through COVID. There was a lot of supportive resources developed, how to use social media marketing, how to use your mailing list, and other great tips that we can share across the whole OFN universe. So that kind of atmosphere is really beneficial and pleasant to be part of. Marta, if you want to move on there. Thanks. So, I mean, from our experience, just in terms of what, you know, digital markets and digitalization, what, like, you know, there's some obvious opportunities and benefits from digitalization that kind of tend to attract people, mostly that efficiency, you know, the idea that people don't have to you know, physically be present during the whole sales time at markets, and typically in the rain here in Ireland, which is another downer. But that efficiency that digitalization can bring is hugely important, both in terms of time of the producer, but also, you know, waste of produce and efficiency around that. So typically when people use the Open Food Network, they operate an order cycle system. So they take orders during a certain period of the order cycle. They close the shop front, they prepare the orders, and then they have some kind of a distribution period, whether that be a collection model at a hub, or a distribution, or a hybrid, part of a mixture of both. In some cases, we see people operate the Open Food Network alongside a physical market as well. So the click and collect element might be just a value added, it might be just a piece that happens alongside, but the market happens as well. Or you have a hybrid type of model where you can get the best of both worlds. And that's, just thinking back to what Jorge said at the beginning about that market experience that you can lose sometimes, and knowing the producer, that, that's something that people, I guess, have found innovative ways to try and mitigate against, by having sometimes pop-up market days, know your consumer, or know your farmer events, workshops, farm visits alongside their digital hub process. Things like being able to pop up on a temporary basis means you don't have to worry about renting space on a permanent basis. We've found people, being able to use very dynamic workarounds when they have a digital tool in place, which means that they don't have to be as dependent on permanent infrastructure, physical infrastructure that can be costly and a bit more restrictive in small communities. Marta, if you want to move on there, please. But we've also found a lot of challenges, and here in Ireland in particular, we have experienced a lot of this. It's a funny kind of situation because we benefit from having a really great tool, a digital tool that we have managed to offer here because of the work that's happened internationally on the Open Food Network. But really our marketplace is at a different stage, and our short food supply chains are certainly at a different stage here in Ireland. And again, back to what Jorge said about the system being ready and digitalization coming at the end, we certainly have, I guess we never thought it would, but we certainly are sure that, the solution to our challenges in Ireland is not necessarily only a digital tool. We have a lot of challenges around the system here. There is a natural resistance to the use of digital tools we find in the sector, and the COVID experience made us maybe feel that we'd crossed the Rubicon there, and maybe things had changed permanently. But once things came back to normal, we found that a lot of that energy really just moved back into the normal day-to-day shopping experience. And the shopping experience in Ireland is not really a farmer's market type. It's a very centralized supermarket based shopping experience. So the offering that we could make in terms of order cycles and planning ahead and all of that really kind of it's challenged by the convenience, I suppose, that supermarkets can offer. But we have a much deeper structural problem here in Ireland as well, which is around the local food and the market sector itself. So those short food supply chains are really, really struggling here. We have a lack of small scale local producers. There's poor customer understanding about how that system works. And they're, as a result, then they don't tend to support things as readily as they could. There is a lack of infrastructure around that. Things like abattoirs and processing plants are really, really struggling at the moment. And those supermarkets are really, really strong and consolidating their position every year here. So, a cautionary tale maybe about, when a system or a marketplace might be ready to adopt a digital tool. Martha, yeah. And just to end up by saying that these are my contact details, but we have, as I mentioned, the Open Food Network present in many, many countries. There are a number of really interesting initiatives happening at the moment. For example, our colleagues in Australia are working on a process to use our maps to help the regenerative agriculture system and help around discovery for that. And they've also developed in Australia some great functionality that we all benefit from around food vouchers and trying to support access to local food for people who are struggling with food poverty. Our colleagues in the UK are working on really exciting procurement projects, trying to see how we can use the Open Food Network platform to strengthen local food producers' ability to participate in government contracts. Our colleagues in Canada and the UK also have really nice projects around flour networks. So not just food, but local flour producers and growers and using flour hubs as well. And then there's a number of projects happening across the platform around data collaboration and integration with other IT tools. So I suppose a lot of the things that maybe Alejandro mentioned there might not be core functionality of the Open Food Network, but we developed integrations and collaborations with other tools to make that work a little bit better for people. But anybody who wants to know more, if you want to find out whether the Open Food Network exists in your country, drop me a note or put it in the chat there. If there is interest, I'd be quite happy, I suppose, to do a half-hour session where we actually look at the platform itself. If there's people who would like to do that. But there's also some videos online and stuff, and I can make them available afterwards. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Evonne. It's really inspiring that one idea, one project can be so replicable, so interesting for so many countries, so adaptable. And maybe you're right, it's the stage of the context of the short food supply chain, which is going to be also decisive for what are the tools that you need, and from where you're actually approaching the chain also obviously changes a lot, the needs you have, and therefore the kind of tools. But these tools which are open, adaptable, so generous in their mission, are basic, and they're so important. And so we're very happy to hear about the Open Food Network. We want to hear more, probably. I mean, this happens in every Advisinar. We have like 3 or more Advisinars that come out from each of our meetings. And I can feel that people are really understanding and interested in what we provide in here. So please, I must say, we need your evaluation of our work. We need you to fill in our surveys, because it's important for us to improve and to be able to provide the right kind of themes and interesting documents for everybody. So thank you so much, Evonne. I know what the situation is in Ireland, because we have our Living Lab over there, in our EU4Advice project, and we know how much you're struggling. And it depends a lot on the context that you really have also policymakers understanding the needs, and the support that is needed especially for these kind of experts that are coming up to help people do their chains, their short food chains, no? So I think this was for me at least, very inspiring, the Open Network, the Food Network experience, and I hope you all find it like that. You have it on the chat also, the web page. And now I'm going to give the floor to Thomas, because we also want to have a little time to discuss with the people here. So please, Thomas.
Thank you, Patricia. And could Marta start to share the screen?
Is it full screen now?
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, so I'm Thomas Snellman, a small-scale farmer from Finland, and actually I made this presentation for an event in Italy 5 years ago, but I think it not so much has changed since this. REKO as a model, actually I turned into organic in 1990, and during the 90s I tried to find possibilities to reach out to the consumers where I live. But I failed and I forgot all about it. But then in 2012 I went to France, and I was invited to come and look on a CSA delivery. And when I saw this delivery, I actually know that this is the solution for me to get access to local food where I live. I don't need a supermarkets at all. So I went back to Finland and started to plan for a project to get access to local food where I live, and that was my whole intention. What then happened is I never expected, but we started the project in 2013, and we followed a little bit the same system as in France with written contracts between producers and consumers. But at the same time, we established also a Facebook group for the discussion. So the very first REKO delivery took place at Jakobstad, the town close to where I live, small town with 20,000 inhabitants. Took place 12th of June 2013. So it's quite close to 13 years from now. And at this point, everything was based on written contracts. But consumers that were on the Facebook group started to write that we don't have any contract with this producer, but could we please have some bread or fish or egg for the next delivery? So and more started to do that. And as I already said, that REKO is, you could describe it as a pre-ordered online farmers market. Where all the producers come on the same time to the same place. So as a consumer, you can order from a lot of different producers, and you can pick up your produce in a very short time space. The only thing is that it's for dedicated people. You need to show up a certain time. Normally, where we have it's on Thursday evening. So this started in a very, very small scale where I live, and my intention was not to spread it around, but it went more and more popular locally, and newspapers started to write about it. So I got invitations to go around in the country to describe the system. And it started to grow very fast after 2 years, I could say. And the benefits from this system, when we are using like Facebook as the platform for the commerce, is that you don't need to invent any tools. Everything's already existing. There's no middlemen. So 100% of what the consumer pays go to the producer. And there's no organization behind it all. So after a while, it started to spread to other countries, first to Sweden and then to Norway. And actually, in the Nordic countries, it's the place where it has grown mostly. So, could you change to next slide, please? These figures are from 2021 when I was in Italy, so they're not relevant anymore. But for the moment, I could say that we have a little bit more than 800 REKO circles all over the world with 3.5 million countries. And actually, countries where it works today, they have perhaps a little bit decreased, but the main countries are Finland, Sweden, and Norway, where we have altogether more than 2.5 million members. For example, last week I visited the Stavanger in Norway, where the world's biggest REKO circle is situated, a town with 150,000 inhabitants, and they have 53,000 members in the REKO circle. So it means that more than 30% of the total population are members in this REKO circle. But outside the Nordic countries, we also have circles in Latvia, Romania, Slovenia, South Africa, Australia, Canada, and United States. And mainly during the COVID, it started to grow very, very fast in United States, because the authorities closed down the farmers' market, since they were a little bit problematic when it comes to COVID, but someone figured out that if we use the REKO model, that where it's pre-order and take away, it was possible to use. So a lot of farmers market in US started to turn into REKO circles. Now today we have, as I said, we have about 800 circles, and I tried to do a little bit estimation about what the turnover could be globally, and I think for the moment it's somewhere between 200 and 300 million euros globally. It's not any exact figures, but it's about, I think it's something between that. At the same time, what the REKO concept also enabled was that farmers in a certain region started to cooperate also since they started to know each other from deliveries at the REKO circle. They also could use this for also do some pop-up events, and they started to create this network. And the good thing is that the consumer, the farmer always come himself, or an employee, mostly the farmer self comes to the delivery point. That means that the consumers that made the orders can meet the farmers, and this gives a lot of added value to the whole event. Even if Facebook sometimes is considered not like the most perfect model to use in this kind of types, but it seems like the social dimension is very, very important in this, because all the interaction on the Facebook can be followed of anyone. And I can give us an example that we established our Facebook group in 2012, and we have now 8,000 members. That means quite close to 40% of the total population are members in the REKO circle here where it started. And the thing is that as an admin, I can see the interaction, and some days we have like 3,000 or 4,000 of the members are going into the Facebook site, and during a month about more than 6,000 of the members are checking out what's going on. And I'm sure that there's not many Facebook group where 80-90% of the total members monthly go and check out the site. because they are following what's be offered for the next delivery and the ongoing discussion. So this has, I see the success from this is mainly because of the social interaction between producers and consumers, and that was also something Jorge mentioned in the beginning. Could you change to next slide, please? In 2015, since I was an organic producer, I followed the commerce during the whole year just to check out how big amount of the total produce when it comes to turnover was organic and how much was like conventional. And it seemed to be a very, very good selling channel for organic food. So during the year, it's ended up that 47.3% of the total produce when it comes to value was organic and 52.7% conventional. At the same time, in grocery stores, it was quite a huge difference because the organic share was only 1.6. So during the REKO circle, we had 30 times higher part of the market. At the same time, since all the producers are local, and they describe in the announcement their produce, so they don't need always to be certified. If the consumer find trust in the description, he buy, and that means that if you're a small scale producer, it's very expensive to have certified production for organic. But since this is without middlemen, it doesn't need to be formally certified. It's good enough when you know the farmer himself. So from this point of view, it's like the confidence between producer and consumer are very, very important. And of course, the producer, he needs to feel this confidence also, because you only lose it once if you have cheated in some way, and people get to know about it, then you are out of market for the future. Here in Finland, we have quite close to 200 REKO circles. We have 600,000 members, and we have about 4,000 producers selling at least once during the year, and about 1,500 selling weekly. And when it comes to the commerce, the producer himself decide in what way he want to be paid, if it would need to be paid in advance or with cash or credit card or anything. And the consumer, the producer are responsible for following all the health regulation and tax and so on. So it's shown to be a very, very efficient model to start. And actually, I see we are running out of time, so I can. But one thing I could add is still a year after when we had started, a small-scale producer that took after a delivery took me a little bit beside, and he said to me, "Mr. Snellman, 5 years ago, I didn't have any future, but you have given me the future back. So it has been a very good tool for especially small scale producers to find a market and to be able to make a living. I think I will stop here and try to answer to questions if someone wants. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Thomas. That was so interesting. It's how something which is logical works in itself and does a huge change, and it produces a huge behavior change. Thank you so much. It's really inspiring. Okay, I think we've already seen 4 very different ways of understanding digitalization in short for supply chain, maybe adaptable to different situations. I hope they've all been interesting for you. I'm sure there's more, and please, anybody knowing any interesting model for us, it's very important that we reach that information. So for us, it's one of our aims is to gather as many information, as many models as possible in Europe or outside Europe that can be replicable in Europe. So please do not be shy and send us anything that you think is interesting. We've been trying to answer some of the questions on the chat, so I do recommend to see the chat because most of the questions posed to Alejandro, for instance, were already answered in the chat. There's still a few things that have come up, but I'll give the word to Christian first, and then we can go further into other interventions. I would like you to come live from the chat and explain what you want to talk about in the time we have. Okay, Christian, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Congratulations to all of you for your very interesting presentations. A very short question to Thomas. Is your model also working based on WhatsApp? Because Facebook is a kind of, I wouldn't say outdated, but a little bit more old-fashioned. And is there also a development in this direction? Thanks.
Actually, I know that in South Africa they try also with WhatsApp, but I need to say that Facebook has shown to be outstanding when it comes to this. So even and I didn't use Facebook myself at all before REKO started. So my Facebook career started at the same time. But since the whole commerce takes place on the Facebook site, and it's not possible to move it into WhatsApp. At least very easily. And since from South Africa, I heard that they have had some difficulties to do it on WhatsApp. But I totally agree. Facebook will not stand forever, so we perhaps need some new future solution. But for the moment, I can't say what that could be.
Okay, thank you, Thomas. There is a question on the chat that hasn't been answered yet, asking Thomas, now that we're speaking to you, is I hope I could pronounce it properly. Jorge maybe, is asking if there's a minimum or maximum size of a REKO ring.
Of course, if it's going too big, for example, in the bigger towns and cities in Finland, we have several REKO circles. For example, in Helsinki, I think they have quite close to 20, and also in Tampere area. It seems to be easiest to handle if it's something between 5 and 20,000 members. Otherwise, it can be quite a mess during the delivery if you have a lot of producers showing up. But it's also easy to split the circles if such problems turns out. So it's There are solutions for this kind of problem, but actually when we started it, as I said, Jakobstad is quite a small town with 20,000 inhabitants, and it's still thriving very, very well. I could say it's growing a little bit all the time after 13 years.
Okay. Very interesting. So maybe we could go back to, I think all the rest of the questions in the chat have been answered. If they haven't, then we'll go back to them. But I would like to encourage anybody who would like to speak up or would like to make a comment or would like to make a question live, you're very welcome. If there's no let's say spontaneous people coming up, we can ask Tony, maybe Tony Little, that had made this comment, which we're very interested in hearing about on the chat. Or would you like me to just pose it to the
That's
if
it.
you're still there, Tony?
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it's just a really quick question, really about thinking the next strategic step. So if actually we're going to scale up short supply chain systems so they're the dominant food system, then actually we need to cooperate at a different level. So we have to go beyond cooperating with a single co-op with maybe 40, 50 producers to lots of different co-ops working together. And that is going to give us the economies of scale, the efficiencies, and the wherewithal to actually feed in the UK 30, 40 million people. And data is really, really key to that. So we need a system where 3 or 4 cooperatives can have one logistics partner or share their processing. And there are some really good examples of this. I think, Evonne, you touched on it in your presentation. And I think my question is, when we're developing our own individual projects, do we need to think about how we might cooperate with other networks of producers? Or is that something that can be done after we've developed our systems?
Okay, who would you like to pose the question to? Do you need anybody in particular? Do you want anybody to, does anybody feel they can answer this question or this comment?
Yeah, I think perhaps most relevant to Jorge. So I'm thinking when you're actually starting from scratch at the beginning, is it a good thing to say, okay, actually, how am I going to be able to share this data with other people in the future?
Well, I can answer because we are trying to create something similar in Spain. We are working with Alejandro. We are working in a consortium called GIASAT, where we are much based in food cooperative, food hubs, and working together. So we are creating a food hub network, and we're starting to exchange products between different food hubs from different regions from Spain. But it's still in the early stages of development because as I said before, you have to think before in the process, before doing this, because this is quite complex, because you have to share catalogs, you have to share products, you have to share prices, but I think the most important thing is to create an identity and a chart like was done in many CSA in order to work together. So technically, I think it's a process that can be done. But first of all, we have to identify our needs, because in order to exchange local food, to get together, first you have to analyze what are what do you sell, what are your local food potential, and then with that you can look outside your region in order to, for instance, in the north of Spain they don't have oranges, so there are different food cooperatives. They're working together in order to, before selling the products together, they are doing this in a very easy way. But if, Tony, you said we want to scale up, but you have to digitalize this, and as I said before, to digitalize this, you have to think about the process. You have to do a lot of pilot projecting to how can this work and so on. Because me as a farmer or are working in a food cooperative, this can get very messy and tricky very easily when we work with a lot of people with different catalogs, with a lot of, and this can be very good, but the effort to do this can undermine the work in your local community. So there are many good ideas, but many drawbacks in order to scale up. Before scaling up, maybe you have to stabilize the way you work, and then with that, as Alejandro said, you can think about processing in other networks. You can do this, but in a very basic level. From my point of view, scaling up with a lot of food, we're talking about logistic, and we are talking about many things that are happening in the long chain that has to be developed and adapted in the short food supply chain in order not to lose the idea of the short food supply chain and have to contact. So this is very interesting, but I think this in the early stages, at least in Spain.
Hello. Okay. Evonne, you wanted to say something about this?
Yeah, I just want to say that I think it is a very pertinent point, and it's certainly something that we, as digital providers, have a very strong responsibility in relation to how we approach that and collaborate within the sector and share data. And I think when it comes to from the user level, it should be an important factor when you're choosing the tools to use. How are these? How is this service provider approaching this question, and how are they contributing to the strengthening of the sector? Nationally, regionally, globally, whatever. And there's a lot of there's good and bad digital and good and bad tech, and we need to be very careful about that, more and more so, and especially around data, how it's used, and all of that. And I think the values and the track record of your digital providers should certainly be a very important factor when you're making these choices in this value-based space.
Great, thank you so much. Just to say that our project is working on the upscaling of short food supply chain as a present situation in many countries, and we are trying to provide training for this kind of advising for advisors who are trying to help with not only the very starting points of short food supply chains and producers selling directly, but also the people who are already trying to go a little bit further into a kind of ecosystem of short food chains, which can be naturally growing in the market. And so there is a lot about that in some of the documents that we're sending and that we're going to be working on. So if you're interested, I would recommend to try to come into the network, because also we're creating some working groups of different, when we see themes that are like repeating and really people who are a lot of people with the same problem, we try to create working groups on different things, especially policy and issues, which is always behind this, because it's very difficult to do any kind of mainstreaming or upscaling if we have too many problems with taxing, for instance, or paperwork, or understanding from the authorities of what we're doing, So there's a lot of things that need to be taken into account, and we're working on all that. Okay, Christian, you have another question?
No.
No, okay, so it's just a comment in the chat. Yes, sorry. Anybody else? We're already out of time, but if anybody else wants to do a last comment or question, we're very happy.
Maybe I may announce the next Advisinar.
Oh, yes, of course.
On the 22nd of June, it's dedicated to a very specific SFSC topic. Again, it's about slaughtering, but slaughtering more general, on cattle and ruminants, and with the aspect of how to get fresh meat. what technical and organizational and commercial solutions exist, as slaughtering is a crucial topic in practice for SFSCs.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much, Christian. Anybody else? I think we're already out of time. It's always the same. We always have loads of things we would like to be discussing, but it's what we have, and we'll be coming back to digital probably, as Christian said, both in the process and logistics. But you can see what our next Advisinar is going to be about. If you come into our network, you'll be having all the information at hand. Please do contact us with any doubts and anything you're missing. And hopefully see you in the next, and have a great day. Bye.